All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, today we're going to talk about the trial of Elizabeth Holmes. It's finally here. Last week on Friday, it kicked off. Opening statements were given. If my client's guilty of anything, it's of trying to save the world. No, that wasn't what was said, but that is a big chunk of Holmes' defense. Simply, is it illegal to try to save the world and to come up short? Is it illegal to have an ambitious pursuit and to fail? And it's like, well, if that entails talking out of your butt for 10 years and getting $9 billion, then I think it is. I don't know. She did every TED Talk and tech conference and magazine interview out there saying things like, I envision a world where no one has to say goodbye to a loved one too soon. It's like, Elizabeth, our loved one died 5 years ago. We had to say goodbye. I don't know, your product doesn't work. It said grandma had herpes, and then that wasn't a help, and then she died. It's not even considered a medical device, I don't think. It's nothing. Your company has never had a product. So, the one, like I said, a big portion of the defense is she just tried to do something big and came up short. It's not fraud, it's just, it happens. And then, as maybe a backup plan, is if that doesn't quite work, if for some reason during the trial something pops up that's like, that looks a little suspicious in the fraud category. Just to make sure they have all their bases covered, kind of out of left field, they brought in a whole nother defense recently, that is that her business partner that came in and saved the day was an angel investor in 2009 after 6 years, and the company was out on its feet. Sonny Balwani comes in 2009, saves the day, and then for the next 6 years, they're partners in crime. Well, now she's saying he was doing all the illegal stuff, not her, and also abusing her sexually and emotionally and the whole thing. And I guess it's going to be interesting. I don't think the texts reflect that. All the texts that have come out are Elizabeth being like, Sonny, you're the beach to my ocean, or you're the cool breeze in my desert. So that's not really, doesn't seem like it backs up her, allegations that Sonny viciously abused her, creating all of the fraud. But I guess they're going to call a psychologist that specializes in relationship trauma. So also, I watched on Sunday night the HBO documentary that came out in 2019. It's called, Entrepreneur, Out for Blood in Silicon Valley. And in that, they ask all the Fortune magazine reporters that interviewed her, all the people around the company, what's the deal with the relationship with her and Sonny? And at this point, no one knows in 2 years that these big abuse allegations are coming out. They weren't commenting on it from that angle. They were just commenting on it from, we were around them every day. We saw them interact. And everybody says Elizabeth wore the pants in that relationship, or Sonny really just was in awe of her, and no one says, I don't know, it was a tense relationship. The old guy seemed to be kind of controlling everything. No one says anything like that, which could be something, it could be nothing, but I think a very interesting witness could happen today. It's going to pick up today on Tuesday. A very interesting witness could be the psychologist, and to see, what they say. So, probably the biggest, most interesting question on everybody's mind is Elizabeth Holmes going to take the stand? She did a deposition where she embarrassingly said, 600 times. Does she want to do that again? If her only defense was that I just tried to do something big and I came up short, I would say the chances of her testifying are right at 0. Why would she get up there, put herself in a position to be cross-examined on a total disaster company that she ran? But because the big kind of punch out of the defense is all of that, plus this horrible abuse, and controlling behavior and really serious allegations against her business partner, that has everybody thinking, well, if that's what you're going to go with, you kind of have to testify, right? It's like, all right, you got all of these serious accusations, so tell us what happened. What happened? You got to get up there. And so as of right now, Elizabeth Holmes is on the witness list for the defense. But just like, if she wasn't going for I was so abused, I just didn't succeed. If that's what she's going with, she's going to have to probably get up there and tell the story. And that's a cold move to start a company, to fail for 6 years, be totally out on your feet, then bring in an angel investor, go for another 6 years of what seems like doing the exact same thing, and then try to blame everything on him and also throw in like a Me Too thing on top of that. So if that is not true, that's a reputation killer. That's like a business reputation killer. That's a serious move. So like I said, I think everybody is thinking, is she going to testify? And maybe they're going to go with let's try to win the case with just an ambitious pursuit that came up short. Let's go for it with that. And then as the trial's going on, if it feels like we're not doing too great, then as a last-ditch effort, we'll throw her up on the stand. That's what it feels like to me that they'll probably do. All right, so let's just go over the timeline and kind of plug in both parts of her defense to see if they make sense. So she starts the business in 2003. She's 19 years old. I think as far as the whole, it's just an ambitious pursuit that she came up short, it's not a fraud. I think something that works against that is just how long it went on, right? And the other part of her defense, that they don't want the jury to see her spending related to that part of the defense, right? I guess she did some big shopping sprees. She bought jewelry. She kind of lived the high life for a while. So that would be one chunk of information that kind of goes against the whole, it just was an ambitious pursuit. Come on. So that's one thing they want the judge to block is don't let the jury see the jewelry purchases. Come on. But another thing that I think works against the whole we tried to change the world is how long. Okay, you fake it till you make it for 3 months, for 6 months. All right, for a year or two, while your engineers are getting the thing to work, you're doing interviews going, we have changed the world, and they're doing the finishing touches, and voila, the thing's done. But the thing never worked. It never worked. It never did anything, really, the whole time. So I kind of put the first 6 years in a chunk by itself. So she's 19, she starts the company, 6 years. That's when she was really everybody's just media sweetheart. She's doing all the interviews and everything. Everybody had nothing but good things to say about her. 2009 comes around, the company's really struggling, the staff of the company knows it's just all bull, and that would have been a decent opportunity, I think, for her to just say, listen, everybody, it's not working the way we thought it was, we thought we had it, we were close, let the company's worth adjust, correction, and then maybe you could keep it going from there. A lot of the engineers that were interviewed in that documentary were saying we weren't close at all at that time, but maybe eventually we could have gotten something, or we were making some strides day in and day out. And so I think if she would have just been honest, I sold it hard, but it's just not going as good as we thought it was, that would have been a correction, and then she could have gone on. But instead, she brings in Sonny Balwani in 2009. He pumps a bunch of money into the company, and they keep going for another whole 6 years. And it really seems like it got dark as that 6 years went on, to the point where it seems like they were spending more time on hiring private investigators and trying to find who's leaking the information to the press. There's texts of Sonny to Elizabeth being like, we're going to find this leak. We're going to nail this motherfucker. And they were hiring private investigators to follow people. And it's like, that to me is showing, that doesn't seem like some great ambitious pursuit that it was, 9 years ago. And one of the employees of the company was saying how they would leave and go, take a private jet and talk to investors about the whole thing, and how, just think 10 years in, think about how dark this probably got for Sonny and Elizabeth. You're 10 years in, running this company, you don't have any product, your whole life is this giant stress lie, and you work a long, hard day in your office in Silicon Valley, lying to your employees, pretending everything's fine. Yeah, all right, we're doing it. And then you have to, after work's over, go to the little airport that's right there. They take a private jet. Imagine Elizabeth and Sonny sitting on that private jet as it takes off. They've been doing this for a decade. It doesn't work. She's probably thinking, I got to go do my speech where I go, I dream that no one will have to say goodbye too soon. And I'm sure it just was a total hell world to live in. So then the timeline, I think, they go another, whatever it is, 5 years. And that's when I think they do the business move that I don't know how they're going to argue that it's just an ambitious pursuit that went south and everybody was just trying to be great. The Walgreens deal, they made a big deal with Walgreens because they needed the money because nothing had been working for 12 years. And again, they had nothing to offer Walgreens. They had a plastic box that did absolutely nothing. And that's when some of the really kind of sad stuff happened. They told a woman that she had a miscarriage when she didn't. That could have caused a miscarriage, the stress of thinking you have a miscarriage. Someone was told they had prostate cancer when they didn't. I mean, it turned into some serious stuff. So that's the big moment, I think, when they're arguing this whole thing of like, she came up short. It's not illegal. That is going to be the hard moment, or the moment I think the prosecution is going, how is that ambitious to just lie? Completely lie and put these totally useless wellness centers in all these Walgreens. And they did big commercials where they were like, are you scared of giant needles and all the blood it sucks out of your arm? Well, no more if you come into Theranos Walgreens wellness centers. And because their product was nonsense, they had to use the big needle. So people, I'm sure that was tough for people. And so here we are. The trial was going to kick off yesterday on Monday with testimony. A juror thought he may have been exposed to COVID, so they pushed it off. I think it's starting today. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see, like I said, that psychologist that is going to be or testify on the relationship trauma. That whole thing with Sonny and the abuse, I think could turn out really bad for her, optics-wise, because it kind of looks like she's just trying to ruin this guy or throw him under the bus to save herself on the company that she started and ran. So that's going to be very interesting. After watching all this stuff and thinking about it, I'm kind of sad that I never got to be a part of a tanking startup. Not even like an illegal one, just one that, like, just to ride the ship down would be a wild experience. One of my buddies in comedy, one of my best buddies, he got this job. I bet he made like $8,000 in comedy like the year before, and then this startup hired him and gave him a salary of like $90,000. This is when all of the websites, they're like a bunch of these website startups happened, popped up in New York, being like, we're gonna create viral content and everything's gonna go huge. And some of them, I don't even remember what they were, but some of them were successful, so it gave all these other people ideas. Yeah, I'm going to start a website and go viral and have it be the website that everybody goes to every day to laugh and to get their information. And so they hired a bunch of comedians and they gave him like an 80 grand a year salary. So my friend, he was like, yeah, I made 8 grand last year, and all of a sudden this company's like, does 80 grand work for you? And he was like, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. And then he gets there the first day. There's a fridge full of kombucha. There's a ping pong table. There's trees growing up through the floors. Somehow everything is a skylight. And the whole thing lasted, I think, 2 months. He showed up one day and the kombucha fridge was unplugged and empty. 2 guys were folding up the ping pong tables. The plants all looked like they needed a drink, and there was a line from the CEO's office, just a line of all the employees. And my buddy's like, what's going on? He's like, you can wait in the line, but it's the CEO. He's just telling everyone it's over. They ran out of money. They were supposed to get some big investment, and that investment thought that the website wasn't going. They bailed. The whole thing's over. And it was like, well, that was fast. But that would be an experience to be around. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think it kicks off today, so we'll see what happens. I love you all. I'm going to cut it off there. See you soon. Why? Stamina. Shamita.